Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. Today we are answering a handful of first-time buyer geared questions. These are things that you're going to want to know before getting into the home buying process. So if you're thinking about being a first-time buyer, be sure to listen in until the end. You're not going to want to miss anything today. And we're probably going to kind of like rapid fire quickly answer these in a way because some of them, not all of them, we've actually done whole shows on. So if you want more information, head over to our channel and we have a playlist that's geared toward home buyers, and you can find some of these topics. Like we'll go really in depth on like this first one that we'll get into. So
awesome.
Won't go too into detail on some of them, but we'll see where the show takes us.
And a little bit about ourselves, because sometimes we do forget to reintroduce ourselves because we've been doing this show for going on 2 years now, which has been pretty fun. We started in a radio station and studio, and then we migrated to our home, and now we're in a sole podcast form. We are two individuals that are passionate about real estate. Mariah got her real estate license when she was 18. She was still in high school going to real estate school, and that was pretty unbelievable. And we are now top producers in our company here in the Salem brokerage at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and we have our own real estate team here in the area, Vetris Crawford Realty, and we just are here to serve and give you guys some of the best quality service anybody can provide in this industry, and that is one of our really, really high priorities.
Yes, and we are we're a husband and wife real estate team, and we serve Salem, Oregon, and anywhere in the surrounding areas. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, feel free to reach out. Our information is in the description below. Okay, so this first question is, how much does it actually cost to buy a home? And they were pretty vague. They didn't say elaborate, like
let's break it down.
Home prices or, hidden fees. It was really just like, how much does it actually cost? So
let's break it down.
Yes. There's closing costs. That's generally going to be about 3% of the sale price.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a down payment, which generally whatever loan program you go with, it varies. But then ultimately, if you got cash you just want to spend, you just sold the property, you can put really whatever amount down you're wanting if you're doing a conventional loan. If you do 20% or more, you're going to get rid of that mortgage insurance, which some people, that's why. Dave Ramsey, he says 20% or more, get rid of the mortgage insurance. So a lot of people hold themselves back at times because they only want to put down 20%. But the reality is a 30-year fixed home loan is there's multiple loan programs to get that is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be a 15-year rate fix. It could be a 30-year.
And another thing to know as a first-time buyer, I feel like as realtors, we just assume everyone knows this, but I had a buyer asking me this not too long ago. We were already under escrow, and they were asking, so how are we going to pay you? And I was thinking, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't know you didn't realize this. So for you as the buyer, this might differ in other areas and markets, but I know where we're at least, and in most other areas that I'm familiar with, the seller pays the realtor fee. So a real estate agent is free to you as a buyer. You don't pay for a real estate agent.
That's 100% accurate.
Yes.
The way we get paid is out of the seller agent's commission they take.
Yes.
So the agent sign that you see on the house you're purchasing, they made an agreement with the seller saying, hey, I'll sell this house at 5%, 6%.
Yeah.
And then the buyer's agent, us, which helps you buy the home, gets a percentage out of the home sale.
Yes. And then there's other little things. There's, the home inspection. That's your responsibility to pay for as the buyer. Generally, around here, depending on the square footage and how much you do, it'll generally be about $450 or so for a regular home inspection. And then there's a home warranty. You don't have to have one. Most buyers, I feel like, don't. I
haven't had many buyers pay for many home warranties in late transactions, but the key is when it comes to a home warranty, is it depends on what type of house you're buying as well. So you can take a look around and say, the furnace is a little old or the water heater's getting old. There's some things and situations you're like anticipating them going out in the next year when you're living in the home. And that's just why people decide to get home warranties. And think about this. If you're a first-time home buyer and you really do want a home warranty, you got a little uncertainty, your house is a little older, maybe ask for it. Maybe ask for the seller to pay for your home warranty.
Yeah.
Because those are always options in different scenarios, and we'll be able to help you out with that and let you know if that is a real option for you.
Yeah, I had a situation once where the deal was falling apart because it came up on the inspection that they needed a new water heater within the next year. The sellers couldn't afford to fix it. And so we just said, hey, how about we ask you to pay for a home warranty? And it was about $500. Sellers wouldn't pay for all of it. So I went in with them and paid for half, and then the sellers paid for half. So there's
cool.
ways. Yeah, it's a great option if something comes up and the sellers aren't willing to pay to give you a whole new water heater, but you know you're going to need to fix it soon. That could be a good option. So,
and the really cool thing though is about those scenarios, especially repairs and those type of items. A lot of the times, those items can be paid for through escrow, meaning if you're the seller and you just get this repair addendum that you're like, I don't have money to fix this. But if you don't do some of the items, you're running through a sale fail.
Yeah.
We can usually find a contractor that's willing to do the work now, hold off on the payment until the home closes at escrow. So there's no money out of pocket for this work to be completed, and you have proof of receipt. You show it for the buyer, close an escrow, pay the contractor then.
Right. There are options. Okay, next is FHA or conventional better for first-time buyers?
It really depends. What do you think? I want to hear your answer first.
I think it's all about the buyer situation. And I mean, it's so situational. I don't think there's one loan that's best for every first-time buyer. I don't think you could ever say that because every buyer's situation is different and it makes sense for different people to do different things loan-wise. And so I definitely wouldn't say one is better.
Yeah.
You know, obviously one's stronger as far as getting an offer accepted if the market's really competitive, but we're not seeing, you know, like we said last week, we're not really seeing loans matter as much as we are.
Yeah.
You know, as they were before.
You're 100% right. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been seeing so many more FHA home loans and USDA home loans than in the past. And the reason being, and I mean, VA home loans. I mean, they're willing, sellers are willing to accept those loan programs because guess what? You're not competing against 5 other conventional home loan offers with 20% down.
Yeah.
So the risk is mitigated now. So we can work through these. If that's your choice of loan program, hey, we're able to actually support that and go out and get an offer accepted for you, which is really neat in this type of market.
Right. I'm going to actually throw this question in there because I was asked this last night and I want to see what you think. Okay. I was having a buyer consultation with a buyer who's thinking about moving to our area from another state. And they were asking me, they're first time buyers, and they were saying, we really like the idea of a 0 down loan, but you don't really hear of a ton of people doing that often. How realistic is it to get a USDA loan? Like, is that really a realistic option? Is it something you see a lot, or what do you think?
100%. It's a realistic option. The problem is the inventory out there. What is out there? But then another key factor that a lot of people forget about is when you're going with a USDA home loan, you have a debt to income ratio that it doesn't waver. So you by far because when you're putting 0 down, your mortgage is going to be higher. Okay, just remember that because your loan, you're taking out more money. So over a 30-year period of time, your bills are just going to be higher. Interest rates don't really waver. That's the cool part. It's not much different. But just expect yourself to have a higher mortgage payment using USDA at times. But the benefit is, if you are a buyer and you have no money or you claim to not be able to save money because of your current bills, you can go in and buy a house 0 down. And that's fabulous. And that gives people opportunity. It gives them option and it gives them hope, I think, because when you're locked in a rent and you got other bills to pay, you got health care to pay, you got car insurance, everything piles up. You got a gym membership, a phone bill. I could keep going. Yeah. You just never feel like you can save. And when we can find a buyer that says, I can only go USDA, what homes are available, they go for it. And we go hard and we can get an offer accepted for you in certain areas. So we got to stay outside of the city, obviously. But if you're willing, I believe right now could be a very, very good time for you to get things under contract.
Okay, the next question is, how long or how far in advance should I start looking? Say I want to be here in March, for example. How many months before then should I begin my house hunting, and should I actually be looking at houses? Like, how long will it take me to find a house?
It always depends, because everybody has a different personality.
Yes.
Right? Like, there's the people that just... their decision making, and just, there's always questions, and then there's
that are very
it reminds me of like your
That's
conscience.
What you're trying to say.
Yeah,
Indecisive.
So there's the
people.
teeter-totter over there, and you're like, oh, I love it one day, and then the next they're focusing so much on a hot water heater that's old.
I think our personalities are both, we're like very decisive people for the most part. Like, we are very like we've done this multiple times where we've walked into a house, like first house we've seen, and we're like, boom. That's it, boom. Like, we don't need to look at anything else. So I think that it's harder. Our personality just isn't, but yes.
But I've worked with a wide variety of clients like that.
Yes.
Like for instance, I'm working with an out-of-state buyer. She needed and didn't need apparently, but she's renting right now, and she really, really wanted to be here in Oregon by the end of September. Well, guess what? We're October right now. We're at the end of October. And
it's taking longer than
taking a little bit longer. We've submitted offers. She is pre-approved for a little bit higher, but she didn't want to go to that full thing because of comfort. And you got to respect that. I got to respect her to be comfortable. But the reality is, the home that she wants is just a little bit too high in price.
Right. So she wants to keep the price lower, but wants the higher type of house. If you're going to lower your home search price, then you also need to lower your expectations.
100%. You got to realize, man, this thing isn't going to be brand new. It's not going to be 100%. Cosmetically, there's going to be a couple dings in the wall.
Yeah.
Is that going to make it so it's unlivable? Heck no.
But I think what we're trying to say is, if you have a more indecisive personality, making decisions takes longer for you, it's totally fine. No worries.
It is.
Everyone's different. But if that's how your personality is, then you might need to start looking a little earlier than if you're someone who does, makes decisions faster, that kind of thing. So,
but to answer that question though, I mean, I've had people, our first showing on our first home, the first week ever meeting them, bam, under contract, we're closed in 30 days. So it really wavers. It's dependent on the client. For
my clients, I feel like it usually only takes a couple houses of doing virtual tours of before they find it. But they're also people who are on pretty tight timelines, because they're moving here usually with their job lined up, and they have to be here by like a certain date. So the fire's kind of under them, And so if you're not in that situation, then maybe it'll take you longer. So it's all situational. But I would say, if you're serious about it, you definitely don't need more than a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months. It's getting dragged out pretty bad. If you're like 3 months,
it doesn't usually
take
that long.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
There are more homes coming onto market right now. It's pretty fun to see and look. And then the first time home buyer price range $450 and under. There's quite a few more options out there than there used to be.
Yes. Okay, so the next question is, someone's looking to buy and they want to stay under $350. Do you think that's realistic in our area right now?
That's similar to that client I was talking about. We're $365 and under.
Okay.
And I certainly do. I really do. I see homes that are available there.
I got a home under contract at $300,000, lowest home I've sold and seen, or in a really long time.
Oh yeah,
that was financeable.
I remember that.
But it was a 0 lot line home, so meaning there was a shared wall. It was older, small square footage. So yes, it is possible, but you have to know what you're working with. I don't know if you're looking at $300,000. I don't think you could find a residential home. You could find a condo, like an older condo. But I don't know. What do you?
I'm like,
because the problem is a lot of them aren't financeable, and if they are, you're gonna be doing a lot of work in that price range, like a lot, like must smell, like not the fun work, like
it's just older homes.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Yeah,
a lot of times older homes.
But as I always say, we will find you something, and we'll take however long it takes. We will do what it takes. We'll look as many times as we have to, and for as long as we need to. It's what we do. We love it, and we are. Just because we're saying this, we're not saying this to scare you away. Let's talk. Let's still look. Let's see what's out there. We'll send you everything, and we can keep looking. So we're definitely, we're here. We're here for you.
We're passionate.
Yes.
I love it.
Next question is, What is the biggest mistake to avoid when buying a house for the first time? I feel like
biggest mistake?
Like the one biggest.
Oh, man, dude. Well, depend. Okay,
there's so many
we
different
always
ways
say
you
like
could go with
depends
it.
because there's like real estate.
There's so many ways.
101. What type of home you're purchasing? Is it a quick flip? Because you always see investors buy these old properties, usually cash, and then they think, man, yeah, we're just gonna do cosmetic stuff with it. Blah blah blah. Turns into like foundations bad, dry rots everywhere. Man, we got some major support beams we gotta redo. So engineering.
Well, which usually you would find out in the inspection period, and then if you're still not down to buy it, you can just back out at that point.
That's the thing. Here's the deal. I think one of the biggest mistakes buyers make is the fear of not submitting an offer because they don't know the listing agreement. They don't submit an offer because they think they submit an offer, gets accepted, they're locked in forever.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Oregon sale agreement really is written in your favor. I mean, you turn in earnest money. I mean, we can usually always get that earnest money back for you through the inspection period. I write a 12-day inspection period on average. That's 2.5 weeks roughly for you to perform an inspection and have it negotiated. But even before that time, I mean, say you get cold feet, you're uncomfortable, back out, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move past the inspection period. Let's go to your finances. You might not have a down payment or your lender doesn't approve your loan.
Yeah.
Now you can back out again. So what I'm trying to say is if home ownership is a goal of yours, understand that I think one of the biggest mistakes that buyers make is not actually pursuing something that's a big goal of theirs because of fear.
Definitely.
And realize that you're not locked in forever. Yes, you could make a couple parties angry at you, but you got to do what's best for you.
Yeah. And people, I mean, sale fails happen. It's not a big deal if you back out,
They're
especially when there
happening
are
now.
legit things going on with the home that come up in the inspection. But even if there's not, you still have that time to back out because like Spencer said, the Oregon sale agreement is written in your favor as the buyers. I would say a big mistake is, I mean, we talk about this. I feel kind of like a broken record because we talk about this so much, but I just really think it. I think it strongly.
Okay.
And that is having the wrong view of buying a home. And by that, I mean just looking at this house as, because we work with a lot of buyers, and the ones that seem to have some buyers I've worked with for a really long time now, and every time we see a house, there's been many times when it's like we're about to make an offer, but then fear comes in and it's like, I don't. And the biggest thing is they're thinking of it as like we're stuck here forever. And now, if they would have bought 1 year ago, they would have had a different situation with interest rates and everything. And it's always because of fear of like what might happen in the market. But it's like, if you are so paralyzed by that, then maybe you should just rent forever because you're never going to be in that perfect situation where it's like interest rates are historically low. There's no other competition because that obviously doesn't happen. And you know what I mean? So letting fear, but also thinking of every house is like, you have to find the one. Like, it's not like you're finding your person you're going to marry. Like, you don't have to be with that home forever, and you can do things as you live there. Like, even if you can't afford to make it exactly how you want it when you move in, you can do things over time to make it your own. I was just talking to a friend who's going to do an addition to their home. Like, there's so many things you can do. So, years down the road, just whatever. So thinking of it as like something where you're stuck can be really paralyzing, and just remember, when you buy a house, you have options.
Really
You've got options.
That's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've got options. Okay. Next. What is something that can go wrong when buying a house? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Usually what I see goes wrong is we pass our inspections. We head and do an appraisal. Appraisal comes in good. And then 2 weeks before closing, I get a call from the lender.
From who?
The lender. The lender usually calls me and says, Spence, your client's pay stubs aren't looking good with the underwriter. Or, Spence, your client switched jobs like 3 months ago. Yeah, they're employed, but we're going to need pay stubs continually for the next month and a half even. And so then the delay comes in, and then we got to ask the seller, hey, can we file an extension on this home? Here's the situation. They're employed, they're fully approved still, but the job status changed a little bit. I had a scenario just because of the way the payment was. This was a truck driver, for instance. She used to be hourly, and then she got paid by the mile she drove. Same job, same employer, different rate of pay. And she did this transition kind of like how I summarized it, 3 months before the transaction really took place. And the underwriter wanted a constant pay stub with those same numbers adding to the same amount of pay at the end of the month. So that is one of the biggest mistakes I see. But honestly, I don't even consider that to be like the buyer's fault. I think that's more of the lender, because they're finding out this so late in the transaction that they're just kind of screwing with people's lives. And they should have known this in the loan application and in the pre-approval process personally. That's how I feel. There are some scenarios where things come out when it comes to a debt that was found on a late credit report, and their debt to income now, it doesn't work based off the sales price we have an offer at. But the lending is where I see most mistakes happen, and that's why I think it's crucial. If you want to have a successful home purchase, make sure the lender you're working with is trusted. Yeah. Make sure he's got transactions under his belt. And honestly, make sure he's creative. I really love creativity. Yeah. So if you're getting a lender set in stone, hey, this is a conventional loan only, and
doesn't have any other
no waiver.
Isn't willing to do any creative solutions to.
Sometimes there's not a creative solution.
Sometimes you can't.
They're working for your best interest, though. Yes. They're working for, hey, what do you want your loan payment to be? Or mortgage payment to be? Okay. Yes. Okay, this is going to be your best loan option based off the home you just sent me, property taxes, and down payment. Yeah. Okay, let's go for it. And that's mainly how loans work. You tell them your goals, and that's it. They go through your financial portfolio, and there you go. You're pre-approved for $550,000. Right. Go buy one now.
So I would say the worst thing that could go wrong, I'm going to say the most likely thing that could go wrong. So what we see most often, like the biggest hiccups that we usually see in a real estate transaction, is just an extension. Things don't take as quickly. They take longer than we're expecting. And like I just had this happen with a closing. Some buyers were purchasing a home and ended up, we had to delay it. It was only a few days, but that's the most common thing that we see is just a delay. Yeah. And
it's just kind of, I don't know, like it boils people. It kind of like worries them.
Some people get really, they get really upset by it. Or of course, also it's more difficult when you're selling and buying at the same time, or when you're
that is when it's like
trying to facilitate like moving trucks coming across the country. Like there's definitely, like, I totally get it. You're trying to plan things and you need to know, but sometimes that just happens where it's no one's fault and there's nothing we can do about it, but things are just taking longer than expected, and we find out, week before closing, we're going to need a few extra days. And so don't be too startled if that happens. Try to be flexible. I know it can be hard because you're like so set on the date and you're so ready to move in when you get that closing date, but definitely be aware things can happen and try to be as flexible as you can when
they
it comes
can change.
To that.
And the difference between the average agent and a good agent, though, working on the seller's behalf, or us working for you guys, is this. If an extension happens and sorry, my train of thought. If an extension happens that it's like more than a week or so, comes in, okay, my job representing you as your seller's agent is these buyers need to pay now. They just delayed your expectation. They just made some type of damage to you because maybe you did have movers. Maybe
it's the buyer's fault?
If it's the buyer's fault.
You mean if it's the seller's fault?
No, if it's the buyer's fault.
Oh, if it's the buyer's fault.
Yeah, because these sellers are now having to rearrange their whole moving program, you know what I mean? And people, I mean, you need to plan this stuff. So what I'm trying to say is the good agent versus the bad agent is ultimately going to negotiate with the extension for earnest money to be released, non-refundable to the seller, or some type of damage cost involved, whether it's closing costs or what. Okay. So there are some complications, but I use it as a precaution, as a protection for my client.
Right. And he will fight on your behalf as he's representing you. But sometimes it is no one's fault. Like this time it was,
sometimes
there was like
really
a lien
isn't.
on the house or something, and it just took title extra time, and that wasn't like the buyer's fault necessarily or the seller's fault necessarily. So it's like,
And we got to understand.
yeah, you just gotta be flexible. Okay. Next question is, am I ready to buy a house now?
Am I ready to buy a house now? I would say take an opportunity when it's in front of you. Go out and get it. I just got a phone call from my buddy, on Sunday evening.
Yeah.
He calls me and he says, Spence, I got this house. It's listed. It's kind of like an insider deal, but I'm really happy for him because he's been trying to buy for years now. By the way, just a little bit of backstory. He's got him, his wife, a kiddo, and another kid on the way. And this opportunity got presented in front of him, and he's stoked about it. And he says, Spence, how should I do this? Because it's technically not listed, and it's going to be between, for sale by owner type situation. And I'm like, here's the deal, man. Call this lender. Let's go get you pre-approved. But if you can't get pre-approved for that amount and you're just not really unwilling or willing to work with those numbers, because interest is pretty high right now, try and work a carry deal. And a lot of sellers right now are working a carry deal right now. But the whole moral of that story, the whole point of that story is there's an opportunity in front of him right now.
Now it's a good time for him.
Yesterday, he did not know this was an opportunity. He didn't know about it. He got called. Now you do what it takes to buy the house you want. That's what I'm saying.
That's good.
So when are you really ready to buy?
That's another thing. Like, only you can answer that. It's a
exactly.
personal question.
Only you can answer that.
No one can answer that for you. A realtor's always going to tell you, yeah, you should buy, because we see opportunity and, we see the positives of buying real estate because we're in it every day. But you only know when it's a good time for you.
Absolutely.
But, okay, this next question, I do have an opinion on.
Okay.
It is,
then you're going to talk.
Should I hire a real estate agent or a lender first? So I saw a video recently of a lender talking about how you should hire a lender before you talk to a realtor. And I actually feel differently. Lender gets business from realtors, right? So they have particular people. But for realtors, we give business to lenders, but we don't necessarily get business back. Does that make sense?
A lot of the times that's so accurate.
So I feel like for us, there's nothing in it for us. For the lender, I don't know the situation. Obviously, everything's different, but I don't know why. Usually it's for a reason. If they're sending you a realtor, it's like, oh, well, I feel like I have to, or I don't know. But for us, at least, I know, like I can say for sure, generally lenders aren't going to be sending realtors.
They do from time to time, but
ultimately it's our job to find, that's a realtor's. I'm so sorry. I said that in a very mushed up way. I didn't really think
let's
about
clarify it.
Yes.
So the reason I think it's important to find a realtor before the lender is because here's why. Let me finish.
There's nothing in it for us, so you're going to finish.
I get to finish. The reason is, for me, I know you now. We had our introduction. I know what you're looking for. Now let's go out and get it. And I'm going to trust with the lender that I personally work with that knows is going to get the job done, rather than this average Joe from California or Wyoming or Texas in a big bank corporation that I can't get a hold of on a weekend.
Yeah.
There are reasons why I refer you to certain people, and some lenders for other reasons, because their loan programs are completely different than my current guy.
Yeah.
So there's why I think working with a broker before a lender is very important, because use the broker's lender that they refer you to.
And for us,
it got a little confusing, but we both wanted to talk.
So confusing. For us as realtors, it is of utmost importance that you, as the buyer, work with a great, competent lender that we know is going to do a great job for you, because we know how that can make or break a transaction. Even more, I would argue that a lender, you need a good lender more than you need a good realtor. Even you need both of them. But I think the lender is more of like a deal breaker, or can be. And so, when we send you to a lender, just know we're not doing it because we get any incentive or kickback from this lender. Like, that's not at all how it works. It's simply because we're like, okay, we've worked with a lot of realtors over our years in the business. And this is the guy that we know is going to do such a great job, continues to get us every time. The buyers are super happy with him, does a great job, gets deals done, is creative, good interest rate, like all of that. And so that's why I think that the realtor is who you should go to first.
Thank you, Mariah.
Yes.
Thank you. I love it though.
Oh my
Consistency, guys. That's what I really look at with the team though. Seriously, the people that we have behind us, the consistency in the transactions year over year, but transaction after transaction, we close deals, yearly, and we're not that average agent. Like we mentioned, we are the top producers, a top producer in our company. Yeah. So that's something we get to hang on our chest and carry that little badge around and say, hey, work with us because we're going to set you up with people that's going to make you successful.
Okay, so this last question is, should millennials buy a house? I don't know why they shouldn't.
I don't know why they are we okay, shouldn't. Here's the deal. Are we technically millennials? Are we right there? What are we?
We're the last.
I'm the last year, right?
No, we're the first year of Gen Z. So we were almost millennials.
Frick. Yeah. I didn't get in with the millennials.
Yeah.
I hung out with a lot of millennials. Still kind of do.
Yeah.
Brother's a millennial, right?
Yep. Okay. He's 2 years older than you, so he's
buy a house, guys.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I think Gen Z should buy a house. I think millennials should buy a house.
That's funny. I see a lot of Gen Zs buying houses.
I'm seeing more. Yeah.
There's more Gen Zs buying houses. There's more Gen Zs having babies too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's like
growing up.
well, I feel like when we were just exiting our youth and teenage years, not saying college or education is a bad thing, but there was a lot of different mindsets that personally I was around that felt like, you don't have to necessarily go to college full time or do this. Maybe they are doing part-time classes still even, but they kind of entered life. Yeah. I feel like a little bit earlier. Now there are a lot of crews.
You're talking about us? Because I feel like we did too.
Us, but I'm talking like the like we were that era where it's like it's important. Education's really important. I cannot discredit that. I love school and I love the colleges. I love that. But for people and their choices, I'm just feeling like we were right at this moment where people had a different opinion of what the next step was for them. Was it trade school? Was it college? Was it starting their jobs right now? Was it marrying their dream girl? That type of thing. There was all types of routes and revenues that people were exploring. And I mean, maybe that's common with every generation though. I don't know.
That's what happens. I
think it's great.
Go down your paths in life.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you have any parting words?
Oh man, I got to give you guys an update though. Last week I gave you a listing of the week, and I got to brag a little bit because that listing of the week sold in less than 24 hours. I told you guys it was going to be hot. I said, hey man, I'm trying to give you the first warning here. But it sold in less than 24 hours, full cash offer. They got everything approved now, inspection free. And my seller's saying adios. She's getting packed up and she's getting out of here. So when we do give you listings of the week, please take that in consideration. And if you have a listing that's wanting to be listing of the week, meaning you're for sale by owner and maybe wanting to list with us, get our contact information below. I'm always happy to help you. I want to do CMAs constantly. One of my goals is to do one listing appointment every day or one appointment for every day for the rest of the year until 2023. So these listing appointments are absolutely free. There's no cost for you as a seller or buyer. So if you want to go show homes, let me know. That counts as an appointment for me in my book. So please use us as a resource. We want to bring our service to the community and make you some money in today's real estate because there's plenty to be had out there.
Yes. And if you watch the video all the way through and haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell because we come on here every week and talk about real estate, and we'll see you guys next time.